Neil, Happy New Year a month and a half later. Almost 2 months. How are you?
Happy New Year. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Neil. How's it going?
It's going well. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about Bitcoin mining. I know it's a new venture of yours, and a lot of the public are not aware of that. They're aware of Bitcoin and how it's an alternative there, and how it price fluctuates and what a bull market it's been, and wish they had known about it 5 years ago. But there's an income strategy with Bitcoin. You want to talk about that today, buddy?
Sure. It seems like I can't get my camera on unless you don't want to see me see
No,
me now.
I'm not stopping it.
Oh yeah,
I wonder if it's Blake.
it
You
just
see the
says
No, it's
video?
not me. You
it
just check
says you
your
cannot
settings, make sure it's going to the right. It might be pulling from a different,
it
you
says you
know.
cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. Whatever, it's fine.
Uh,
Oh,
Dale, I'm not the host. You're the host, so
I'm
I
the
don't
host. I don't
That's all
know
right.
how I stopped. Let me
My
see. Here
you,
I'm going
you
to
you
make
you should
you.
be able to click on the little three
I'm
dots
making
and
you a.
down.
I'll make you a co-host. Maybe that'll work.
Oh wow.
Try that. Yeah, something's happening.
Oh,
There
there
he
he
There you
is.
is.
are.
I saw you. There
There's
you
But I
my
go.
can't
co-host.
but I can't see you, Dale.
Well, you don't want to this
Okay.
morning. All right, I
Sure.
mean, I get up at 3:30 a.m.
Oh wow. Um
Yes. Anyway, it's nice to see you, buddy. So, how did you feel
well
with
let me yeah, go ahead.
huh? How did you feel with the red wave and having someone in the White House that is a supporter of Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, definitely we saw the Bitcoin, price react positively when Trump was elected. We saw one of the biggest increases in a few days then. It's definitely nice to have people in the US government who aren't antagonistic towards Bitcoin. It's really the first time since basically its existence that we've had.
Ever? Yeah.
Yeah, first time ever that there hasn't been someone antagonistic towards Bitcoin. And you asked about Bitcoin mining before. So yeah, I as of beginning of last quarter, I started working in a company called Abundant Minds. I think you had our CEO on Bo Turner a couple months ago. Anyways, for
Yeah.
those who might be like new to Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining is just the process of securing and validating transactions on the Bitcoin network while simultaneously issuing new Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin miners process these transactions, they are rewarded with new Bitcoin that is programmatically issued um, based on the Bitcoin protocol. Approximately every 10 minutes, new Bitcoin is issued, and right now the amount of Bitcoin is, I believe, 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. Plus miners get fees on top of that. So I don't know, do the math roughly. What's Bitcoin at like 90,000 right now? They get over $270,000 worth of Bitcoin for mining a block. So obviously a lot of people want to do that, but that space is super competitive.
Yeah.
Um, Currently the Bitcoin hash rate, I don't know, I haven't looked at it in a while. Is
Oh,
something.
yes. That's both said that's the first number he looks at when he wakes up in the morning.
So right,
The hash rate.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
So right now the hash rate is 785 exahashes per second. So what that means, an exahash is quintillion. So there's 785 quintillion. It's a hard number to even wrap your head around.
Yeah.
Computations per second trying to confirm the next Bitcoin block, which then gets you rewarded. So there's Bitcoin miners all over the world. It started, 16 years ago with people just mining Bitcoin on their personal computer. but now that process is a lot more difficult. So now you have specialized computers, Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin mining equipment, called ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits. I think I said that right. Which are their sole purpose is just to mine Bitcoin. That way, there's no other things going on in the background. And a lot of people like to participate in Bitcoin mining for, various reasons. One, when you buy Bitcoin miners, as part of some business, you get tax advantages. You're able to depreciate your equipment. So unlike buying Bitcoin, which is just property that, a capital asset,
Right.
you just hold that over time, and hopefully it appreciates. If you plan on flipping it, there's capital gains taxes. But with Bitcoin mining equipment, you could buy $100,000 of Bitcoin mining equipment, which is like 10 of the really good miners right now, and offset that against, your income right away. So there's
Okay.
benefits that people like to get into Bitcoin mining. It's also, kind of like a steady stream of cash flow. So as I said, just to mine Bitcoin on your personal computer, that's basically, it's like playing the lotto at this point. But what you're able to do, if you have Bitcoin miner, let's say you have one Bitcoin miner, you could join 1,000 other people in something called a Bitcoin mining pool, where you all basically agree whoever does mine the next block, you will. There's a lot of different ways it's set up, but just in a very basic way, you'll split the rewards that you get based on how many miners you're contributing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
almost like it's a community that splits profits, right?
Exactly. And it's based,
Yeah.
right. And it's based on how much hash or, computing power you're putting
You've
towards it.
contributed. Yeah.
Right. So every pool, there's like administrators of pools. There's hundreds of pools around the world. They're each set up a little differently. The pools guarantee a certain amount, like the pool administrator of Bitcoin. So that makes people comfortable because they're getting, this free cash flow. Sometimes, it could be daily or monthly. So that helps even out, the uncertainty of mining.
Is it true? I remember during that interview that there was talk about that there are more advantageous times to mine, uh, and when prices were coming down, it was a more favorable time to be a Bitcoin miner. Did I get that correct from Bo?
Yeah, generally that is correct. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that go into whether Bitcoin mining is profitable or not. So when the Bitcoin price, increases dramatically in a short period of time, Bitcoin mining equipment sometimes increases disproportionately more than Bitcoin. So if you have something like that, you might be overpaying for a miner based on, the return it'll get you. Conversely, when Bitcoin dips, the mining machines sometimes the market for mining machines sometimes overreacts the other way, and it could be a more beneficial time to buy Bitcoin miners. But again, there's other factors too, like how many miners are on the network at once, how efficient your machine is, what your electricity rate is. So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of moving parts, and yeah, it's definitely another way for investors to diversify their portfolios.
Okay. And one of our attendees, Saluma, is saying, how about reserves and balance sheets in the system?
So what's the question exactly there?
Yeah. What is the question? Clarify, please, young man.
I see another thing, Neil. I hope you're rich,
You're
rich
rich.
now. You know what? No matter what the
Well,
Bitcoin price does on a day-to-day basis, my life kind of remains, unchanged. I buy Bitcoin for the long term to hodl it to get
you're
out
not,
of.
but you're not being driven around in limos and stuff now, Neil?
No, no,
Yeah,
I
no.
I'm since we started talking a few years ago, I have the same apartment. I have the same Hyundai Elantra car. I'm a very basic guy.
That's smart. You don't want to be a target, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's not even,
Yeah.
it's not even that. I just I have a long-term vision about what Bitcoin will be.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if they're going to get into Bitcoin, it's to buy it and hold it for 10 years, at a minimum 5 years, because we've seen, over 5 years, no one's really ever lost, when it comes to, appreciation in US dollar terms on holding Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
I don't, my, like I said, uh, I kind of just, keep it real. Yeah.
All right, buddy. I talked to someone yesterday who believes that non-humans gave Satoshi the answers and helped him develop the system that would have taken him much longer.
Yeah,
What do you think?
or maybe
Huh?
Satoshi was the non-human in the first place. They
Well,
like,
there you go. What do you think? Will we get a big reveal on it? He is a believer. Do you know Leo at Leo Math Heart?
I do
You got
not.
to check him out. He's also a very interesting guy who's preparing people about the new system, the blockchain and Bitcoin. And he's a technical guy, but he also believes there is. I asked him, "What do you think the drones were?" And he said, some were human from reverse engineering, and some were non-human.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where are
That's
you at
way
on aliens and Bitcoin?
that's way beyond my pay grade. So. I do, I've had every single type of discussion you could have on Bitcoin. Is it a human? Is it an alien? Is it AI from the future?
Yeah,
Is it a group of people, a man, a woman, And honestly, the mystery is fun, but it's better off that we don't know. And I
really?
hope
Why?
I
Why?
hope we never know, because if you have an asset with an issuer, there's someone that can be attacked.
Okay,
So, it's better just for it to be, left in the wild. And money is supposed to be a tool. And the creator of it should be irrelevant to how valuable that tool is. So, and also, if,
okay.
for their safety too, it's better that no one ever knows who they are.
Yeah, I'm hearing more and more stories of people being careless with their Bitcoins and losing them, like in their, being hacked, accounts
Okay,
being
so
hacked and stuff.
yeah, there was a hack recently with the Ethereum network, unrelated to Bitcoin. I think it was the biggest
Okay,
hack in the history of cryptocurrency. I think it was $1.5 billion. But yeah, if you just kind of use best practices,
right.
um,
The
there's
wallet.
really, yeah, you buy a reputable hardware wallet, like there's like the Cold Card, the Trezor, there's other ones. Um, you know, the only like hacks that I've ever heard of are people through user error, where it's not really a hack, but people, I mean, there's something illegal happening, right? Someone's stealing from you, but it's, exposing your private keys using computers that might have been tampered with. It's being super flashy, right? And people, know who you are, and there's things going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bitcoin is the most secured computing network to ever exist in human civilization.
Okay.
So it puts responsibility in the user's hands. Really, you become
Right.
your own bank. I can
Yeah.
answer some of the questions, I think, if you want, in the chat here. I think it's starting to come
Go
together.
ahead. I mean, everyone's already jumping ahead to quantum computing,
Yes. So let me
which
go
is
back to
what
the
years ahead, years
Yeah, so
away,
let
right?
me backtrack to the reserves and balance sheets in the system. So are we going to add Bitcoin? I guess that means, is the US government going to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet? That's what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I
There.
think so.
I have no idea. I know Trump himself says a lot of things, and tries to see what sticks. But his administration is very it's built with a lot of pro Bitcoiners, well, at least crypto people in general, but a lot of people kind of understand Bitcoin. So that definitely makes it more, again, more favorable for the regulatory environment around Bitcoin in the United States, at least for the next 4 years. So that's bullish in and of itself. But whether we're going to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, to get Congress ever to, agree on something, things are so toxic these days in our political system. I really doubt that. So it would have to probably come through the executive branch. And I don't really know how motivated Trump is. He's got a lot of things on his plate, clearly. So I would just say if that really shouldn't be a determination on whether you're going to buy Bitcoin. It should be because you've studied Bitcoin, you understand it, and you see the long-term thesis at play. You and
How
I
about,
have been talking
yeah,
now for a couple of years.
yeah,
Bitcoin was at 20,000 at one point,
yeah,
or it's at
right.
30,000, 40,000, and you're going to have the volatility and the swings, but over the long term, you'll be smiling. But it's a very simple process, right? Buy Bitcoin and hold it, but it isn't easy for most people.
You're
It's
right.
the psychological thing
They're
where
intimidated. The common saying is, I just can't wrap my head around it.
that's definitely one of the things, the volatility really it shakes people. And when Bitcoin's price goes down, not only do people start questioning themselves, but then all the skeptics come out and start grave dancing on Bitcoin all the time. I've seen this a lot, and it's a tough environment to kind of be out there on an island by yourself. I mean, obviously there's millions of people in Bitcoin, but relative to the rest of the world, you're still, a small percentage.
Okay.
I could answer, let's see, these.
Answer this. How many Trump coins did you buy before they appreciated 11,000 times overnight?
What do you think, Dale?
None.
None. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
a bit.
I heard you had a chance to do it, but instead went long big fart coin.
Yeah, I don't, I've been the
I
same
know you're a
kind.
purist.
But
Right.
it's not even, purist. If there was a better money that came along that
Yeah.
I felt was better than Bitcoin, I'd port my wealth over that. But it's now 16 years. Bitcoin has the network effects. Part of like what makes Bitcoin so robust is the infrastructure around it, the miners, right? Like I told you, there are literally almost 800 quintillion computations happening per second. These like meme coins that are spun up on someone's computer overnight, there's no
Yeah.
infrastructure, there's no commitment, there are no businesses built around this. So really what you're doing is
They're
gambling.
scams.
Yeah, they're scams. You're gambling, you're
Yeah.
hoping to like pump and dump and get in on the last guy.
Right.
And
Right.
like, do you have any like self-worth or self-respect if you're just you
They're
want to
like
do
the
that?
pink sheets used to be in stocks. You would,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
same
zero
thing.
sum game where you're trying to buy low and dump on some sucker who's just gonna buy higher. With Bitcoin, as the Bitcoin network grows, everyone wins.
Are you doing any Bitcoin mining? You involved in it? For
So
yourself personally?
So I have some hash rate at Abundant Mind. So I have a machine that's
Yeah.
dedicated towards me, and it's a cool thing. Once a month to have. Well, actually, I think it's on a daily basis. I don't look at it every day. Have a little bit of Bitcoin. Hit hit your account,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
that's just going on in the background. I'm basically
What's a good,
making.
like, say the people listening and that see the video later want to get involved. What should they be thinking about as far as minimum investment to try it out?
Sure. So at Abundant Minds, we say like usually around $10,000. Now we do have machines that are priced at less than 10,000, but typically they're less efficient. Um, so yeah, usually 10. Clearly we have institutional clients that buy. We have one client that
A
has
warehouse?
over 100 mines with us.
Yeah.
So that, that would, with today's price, would be on $1 million, right? So it really just depends. So it goes from individual hobbyists to people who, are running companies and institutional investors. We service everyone. We don't want to turn anyone down. At least right now, our capacity allows us. If you just want to buy one miner, go for it. And I think right now maybe the lowest price miner is 6,500 ish, but that changes on a daily basis. And maybe with the Bitcoin price, kind of taking a little breather. I know we were as high as I think 108,000. Now we're a little sub
Yeah.
90,000. Maybe the
Yeah.
Bitcoin prices will come down. And yeah, definitely if you see this video, mention my name and we'll try to hook you up.
Okay, so what could you expect your break even? Say you invest 10 grand in the machine. How long would it take to recapture initial investment? Ballpark.
Yeah, I don't want to like you to hold me to this again because
No,
there's a lot
I'm
of
not. I'm
factors.
not.
But
Yeah.
our people, the last I've talked to some of our people at the company that kind of crushed the numbers, it'd be around like 2 years. But these machines are, they run kind of at max efficiency for like 4 years. So, is again, it's kind of like as long as you're patient, the same way as Bitcoin, things could go well. But again, you also get the advantage of having this depreciable asset right off the bat. So if you're a business
Okay, so
owner,
you get the tax write-off
you're able to
right
get that
away.
tax write-off right away. But again,
Yeah.
it does, I named like there's a variety of factors. There's no guarantees. But these machines max efficiency around 4 years, but they could run 5 to 7 years possibly. And what's great about Abundant Minds, we're based in the Pacific Northwest, so primarily Oregon right now. And what's great about that is the climate in Oregon is it's cool.
Or utilities. Yeah.
And it's very cool. So these machines, they run at super, high speed, so they overheat, and there's fans that are very loud. And if you're in warmer climates and higher climates, the machines tend to give way. So
Yeah.
we're in a cooler climate. You don't have to deal with like as much dust. So there's benefits to mining with abundant mines.
Yeah. And you know what? You're being very nice to the miners, which are not human, but you're giving them a nice place to live.
When I
You ever
when I
think
was
about that?
yeah,
Man and machine, we're becoming one anyway.
yeah, the machine so I went up to Oregon back in November. I visit one of our sites in Oregon, and it wasn't like super cold, but November in Oregon, it's still pretty cold. And normally when you're at a lot of these Bitcoin mining facilities, you have to wear, head protection, like these, you
Yeah.
know, not earmuffs, whatever you call them, that, like a construction worker would wear. But when I was there, the fans for the machines were running so low because it's cold. You don't need to run the fans as much. You could
Yeah.
basically go there without the head protection on. And we give our clients site visits. So if you want to go to the site, check out your miner, we'd set that up for you as well. Some prospective clients come beforehand. And yeah, so it's a cool process. You really feel part of the Bitcoin network. You're not only are you making money, Dale, but you're making money. I don't know if you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying by
I
that,
got it.
but you're literally you're printing new money into existence. So it's a
Right.
really cool thing that hasn't been available to anyone really in human history until now.
Well, I don't know. I have to push back because
I can't wait.
anyone that owns a public company can
No,
print
no, but I'm
currency
saying
too.
you're
Their
making
shares.
the no, but I'm saying you're making the
Money.
money, the
Yeah,
literal
that's
money
right.
that's used as a tool for value transfer. I'm not talking about
Okay.
like asset appreciation. You can exchange goods and services with Google stock. I mean, maybe you'll find someone that you'll figure out a way to do that, but on average, you
That's
can't
true.
do that.
No, I'm talking about Google. They have a printing press. All they do is issue more stock. That's
Right, but then
their
it, but when, yeah, but that's not real money. That's dilute. That I mean, that's
right.
like fiat currencies.
You're right.
which is it's basically
Dilution. You're
it's
right.
like akin to credit and debt. You're just diluting everyone else's money.
Yeah. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, with
Reverse
Bitcoin,
splits. You'll
there's
never have to worry about that.
there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. Right now, let's see, I have like a dashboard up. Where is it? 19.8 million. So there's really only like a million plus Bitcoin to go. And then yeah, then if you want to really acquire any Bitcoin, you're going to have to trade over some other asset you have for it, or you're gonna have to work for it in the future. And Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining is basically one of maybe the last ways you'll be able to, get Bitcoin.
Yeah. Be in the world.
Yeah.
And the new world coming. That you're
Yeah.
way ahead. And why don't you show a few of your t-shirts?
Oh yeah. So I'm wearing. So I also own a Bitcoin merchant apparel company called FOMO 21.
Okay.
I think I sent you the Hope shirt, right, Dale?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
I remember where I send every one of my babies to and which one they.
All right.
No, so we
Anyway,
have a
he's
yeah.
got cool gear if you're into it. Really cool gear.
Yeah,
So
so we have a Bitcoin shirt on our site that says Hope with a little
yeah.
Bitcoin B on it. Dale, he didn't make it easy for me. I told him to pick out a shirt. And he's like, Neil, pick one out for me. And I'm like, this kind of fits Dale. You're always a positive guy with your messages online, I see. You've always been very gracious to having me on here. So yeah, I really appreciate you, Dale.
Thank you, man. And
I yeah.
you've been a source of education for people here on Bitcoin. And like I told Bo, you're one of the better ambassadors for Bitcoin
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
but
Yeah.
Bo's a good guy. Bo's super smart. I'm really, happy and fortunate to be, working at Abundant Minds right now. So yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
get to answer the supercomputer question. Should I answer it, Dale, or do we not
Yeah,
have
go
time?
ahead. Yeah, we got time.
Okay, no. So someone said these supercomputers, can they crack Bitcoin? You know what I'll answer that question, but you know what I find interesting, Dale? No one ever asks, will the supercomputers crack your Fidelity bank account or your brokerage account, or will they, crack your Bank of America savings account? People always just jump to Bitcoin. But let me go there. So first, if there are quantum computers that can break SHA-256, which is, the hash function that, kind of controls Bitcoin mining and all, other areas of the Bitcoin network. It's going to be strong enough to crack everything else first. As I said to you earlier, Bitcoin's the strongest computing network that's kind of ever existed. So they're going to come after the banks, the nuclear codes, and everything else. So Bitcoin's the last thing that's going to be on anyone's mind at that point.
Yeah.
But if we see quantum computing progressing at, a great pace, there will be quantum resistant cryptography that is put out to combat that. And for Bitcoin, that could be incorporated into Bitcoin. I'm not like super technical, but I've heard a lot of people talk about, the Bitcoin network could be forked. And although, the Bitcoin network has been forked by a lot of scammers over the years, kind of running their own version of the Bitcoin code, this would immediately, in my opinion, reach a consensus among people that participate in the Bitcoin network. There'd really be no controversy, right? If an update needed to be made to the Bitcoin network to make it quantum resistant, I don't know how that wouldn't happen.
There you go. And said with conviction. Neil, thanks. So it was great seeing you. Next
It's
time
only
I'll shave.
conviction. It's only conviction because of the shoulders I stand on and the
I
people
know.
that
Yeah.
I mean, obviously doing my own due diligence, but also, I've listened to people like Adam Back, who's one of their earlier cypherpunks and cryptographers, who's kind of responsible for some of the things you see in Bitcoin today, talk about these things and quantum attacks and things like that. And, it just doesn't concern me. As you know, Dale, as I was saying before, every other day there's someone, a skeptic, a naysayer towards Bitcoin throwing shade. And I come back here every 3 months, every 6 months, and you see the smile on my face.
Yeah. I'm glad for you, Neil. And I keep smiling
Well,
and
I
I
hope
talk.
you've bought Bitcoin over the years when you've had me on.
Yeah, I have a little.
And you don't trade it, I hope.
No, I don't. I have too many other things to trade.
Good. So that means you're
So
in profit for sure. I'm
yeah.
happy
So
for you.
anyway, I'm glad that you have come here and influenced some people to do it over the years because there were better levels and uh,
And you know
thinking
what I
set.
think, Dale? We're still at a good level.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look at what one of our attendees is saying. It's what what was it?
You know me, Dale. I think Bitcoin should be worth $20 million a coin right now.
Neil,
So,
always pleasing seeing you. Let's hold till $1 million. Dale, thank you, champ. Yes, he has been great.
thank
Okay,
you.
so
Your audience is always very kind. A lot of times if you go into the non-Bitcoin media
yeah,
world, people could be very aggressive, but everyone also here is like super gracious.
it's a
So if
law of
any
attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, it must be from you and the energy you put off. But if anyone ever has a question, feel free to DM me on X, formerly Twitter, at Neil
Yeah.
Jacobs. I try to answer everything. I get a lot of inbounds, so apologies if I don't, but definitely shoot me a message. I could try to at least direct you to the right resource if I don't have the time to help.
Well, there you go. Everyone, one of the best Bitcoin representatives I know. You ought to talk to Luke Roman, who's a big proponent and has been for a long time, who
No,
has a
I'm a big fan of Luke's.
Luke. Yeah,
I haven't him and I have never met, but I've seen him on a ton of podcasts.
yeah.
Maybe one
He's
day I'll see him at a Bitcoin conference. There is one coming up in Vegas. I hope you're coming to that, Dale. I'd love to see you.
when's that?
May 27th through the 29th. It's going to be at the
Oh wow.
Venetian. It's at the
It's at
Venetian.
my
I'm super
that's
pumped.
my birthday, May
Get the heck out of
27th.
here.
No.
Well, if you need a ticket, Dale, maybe I could hook you up.
All
Uh,
right.
But for anyone else, if you're near Las Vegas, definitely the Bitcoin 2025 conference. I think it's going to be the biggest conference in Bitcoin history, Dale. And
Wow.
use promo code FOMO, and it will get
Uh,
you 10% off your tickets for sure. Got to plug that. Always
so
got.
when there's it's good when FOMO could get you something
Yeah,
because it
absolutely.
usually takes it away from you.
No,
But
this will decrease your ticket price. So, I say to people, if you're just starting on your Bitcoin journey, I would never say go to conferences, buy my merch, from start buying and stacking Bitcoin. But once you kind of like get it, and maybe you want to work in the industry, find investors for your business, then the Bitcoin conference is 100% worth the return on your money for sure.
right, yeah, you're networking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, all right, Neil. Great seeing you, buddy.
Thank you for having me, Dale. It was
All right. We'll talk in May.
Yeah, let's book.
Right,
Shoot
right.
me a DM.
All right, buddy.
All right.
So everyone follow Neil.
Yes, at
Yeah,
Neil Jacobs.
follow Neil at Neil Jacobs on X and um, get involved and check out the Bitcoin mining. That sounds interesting. I may do something like that.
Yeah, if you're curious about Bitcoin mining, anyone shoot me a DM as well, and I'll connect you to the right person.
Okay, thank you, Neil.
All right, sounds good.
Have it. I hope this is your best year, even better than last year. So
Likewise.
that would be a great year. So
Likewise.
all right. So that's a wrap. Remember, don't just count your Bitcoins, count your blessings. And we when it's all said and done, we probably won't even worry about how much Bitcoin we have. We'll be thinking about the people we had relationships with, that we laughed and cried with, and that you know, Bitcoin. Maybe you met them through Bitcoin, but it's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm
No.
sure I'm sure you have so many more friends than you did before you were a holder.
Absolutely. And, like money in the end, it's just a tool to do things with
Right.
for your
Right.
friends and your family.
Yeah.
And yeah, I tell people if Bitcoin went to zero tomorrow, which I clearly don't think it will, but even if it did, the amount of friends and the network of people I've made that have like, shared values that can't be, bought and paid for.
Yeah. I've often said that if I got paid in love and respect from people, I'd be a multimillionaire. Okay. So
You
anyway, and that
deserve you
is,
deserve it,
yeah.
Dale.
All right. Well, thank you, Neil Jacobs, my friend
Bye,
and
everybody.
Bitcoin warrior.
Thank you, Dale.
Give
Bye.
them a message and get involved. The times, they are changing. And don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios. Thanks again, Neil.
Adios, amigo.
See you.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.